Why are they naked? Then they could be naked if they want to be. One of them, she's not even wearing the shoes. She wasn't even wearing the shoes in that picture. Timberland. Tim's. Pick up the phone. You got it? Yeah, what was that? Disappointing. I'm Jordan St. James, freelance creative director. I mostly work in like film writing and directing, and also photography, and also music video. And this is something close to my heart. You know, women in media, making sure we're not in the same box that women in media are forced to be in all the time. It was kind of given they didn't have women in the room, and if they did have a woman in the room, they weren't listening to her. In my opinion, here's what I would have done. Here's what I would have done if it was me. Number one, first and foremost, who in the world? You got to go and figure out who are you making this for? Who are you trying to talk to? Now, without any research, I can tell you the things that we all know Tim's for. One, they're a work boot. At the end of the day, they were created to be a work boot. At a point, hip hop, music scene, all of that brought Tim's into more of a regular wear use, especially historically, culturally centered in New York's hip hop scene. So it is not just for purpose, but it is also for style. The first thing that they should have did was re-centered on who in the world and tied it into women who need to wear it for work, and also women who care about the style while they're at work. Okay, that was first and foremost. So I'm gonna just show you. I'm gonna just do some quick. This is vibe research. It is a little skewed towards what I would do if they had me as the creative director, photographer, leading a lot of those visuals, right? So quick scroll. Yes, automatically my first thought was the laces are a place where you can interject some femininity into the usual work boot. And not to say that it needs to be. I would say genuinely this is just for the stylistic and for the visual side. And it's like, this is an additional thing you can do. You can add in, you can swap out the laces for ribbons. Like this just would have been number one for me, the first thing that they did. Oh, I like this. See, okay, now Tumblr, right? This kind of like color palette that we're hitting on, this like these like soft blues and soft greens, like there is a work and a rough and a something that's very grounded here, but it also has a softness to it. And I think that for me is going to be the balance that I'm looking for in everything I bring to this. Yeah, you see what I mean? Like even just doing this, hello, paste. At the end of the day, I think they're, for the girls campaign, should blend these two worlds. I think a mixture of these two worlds are going to be their sweet spot. The Who in the World page to me is, who is your audience? What world do they live in? What things do they react to? So the Who, right? It's for the ladies campaign. So it's women who put the work first, right? I think that's number one. The assumption, right? We're already going to try to break down the assumptions. And stereotypically, people just assume women don't work, or they're not working as seriously, or they're not working as hard. But so number one and first foremost that we're basing it off of, women in femmes who put the work first. Then I'm going to jump into the world, right? The world they live in. This is where I like to tie in reality and like the culture and like what things, again, at every point, if every campaign you're doing nowadays does not break a stereotype or some type of, you know, box that they're trying to put us in, it's not going to do nothing. It's not going to move nothing. It's not going to inspire anybody. It's not going to be interesting. It's not going to say nothing. A male dominated space. They're not taken seriously, right? I guess I don't have to say it out loud while I'm doing it. Cue the music or something. I don't know. How they express themselves, right? Again, it's like the thought is either you're being hyper femme, and so you're seen as a very woman by the society woman, and you're not taken seriously, or you tuck away a lot of those feminine instincts, a lot of those like things that just want to come up, or things that you like, and you like it because you like it, and then you're masculinized. You're just like put in the other category. You're like, oh, you're you one of the bros. Like that's why she did it, because she's not like women. She's not like other women. Like no, you get. Right? That's what this campaign should have did, right? Okay. Next, the types of media that they respond to, the things that they respond to. This is the things that move them, because at the end of the day, I'm not talking to nobody else. When you make a campaign, you're supposed to talk to the people you're trying to talk to and no one else. Like eye contact. It's giving eye contact. I remember being in high school and wanting Tim's, and my mom was like, those are boy shoes. You know what I mean? So I'm going to guesstimate. I'm going to guesstimate based off of my own self. But bear with me for creative purposes. So the type of media they relate to, leveling up their knowledge on business and their craft. That's the words. You know, I think they're not afraid of their masculine side. I think they're not afraid of their feminine side. They're not afraid of the spectrum and how they're perceived and landing on it. So I think the best, you know, the best thing to live in and thing that they respond to are the blending of the two. So I'm gonna put this over here. This one feels like the blend of the two worlds. Oh, I wish I didn't have to make that small, but that's fine. The male dominated space. This is when I start going to Pinterest. Let me go on Pinterest right quick. All right. All right. I'm getting a vibe, sort of, kinda. Love this. These will come up. This one comes up a lot. I'm sure you've all seen that. This one's really nice. I kind of really love this. She's very in charge. She's very in charge, and I like that. So I'm gonna put her, she's gonna be the number one representation for this. Shout out to whoever took this beautiful, gorgeous picture. I don't know. Let me see if it says. No, see, sometimes they don't be staying on Pinterest, and that's one thing that I don't like the most. But anyways, she's very boss. Something about that is very boss, and I feel the energy of this campaign, how I blend it. And already I'm just on slide 1, guys, and you can kind of see the direction I would have went in for this. Male dominated space. They're not taken seriously. They're passed over out of misogyny. Now I'm going to try to find one more image. You know, maybe something's going to come up. I'm going to stay in this lane. Love that. Oh. If this wasn't, something about this feels slightly off, but also in the right track. I kind of like how it's like framed up, where it's like, oh man, damn. Yeah, I'm taking this. I'm taking that. This frame inspiration, or the framing of that, is very lovely. Something about like, it's a, you know, we understand that it can be a man's world. This one too on the left, you see it's starting to build itself. There's like, you know, if they were a little bit more on the edge, like crowding the frame. All right, boom. I've just organized the picture a little bit where they're lining up, but already just defining the who in the world and the reality and what they react to, and what feels like it would be emotionally reactive to them. This is the page where I usually define, like, you know, then what do we call this? What does it feel like if I were to sum it up in like 2 words? It's like your elevator pitch slide. The women that get the work done. For the women who get the work done. That's, you know, that's my little tagline. All right. So you see how it kind of plays out? For the women that get the work done. Bow. I don't know what you know what, I'd have to come back to this. Okay. Editorial direction is probably what I'd put this under, because I'd, of course, want to do a photo campaign. And it seemed like they also wanted to do a photo campaign. So that's how we got the photos that we got. However, I feel like the vibes for it just were off. Now, how I would describe these, let me go pick up some words somewhere. Power poses, I think, and not like trying. It's like a subtle, or it's like a implicit. What's implicit mean? Google. I'm Googling it. Implicit definition minus AI. Don't forget that. Understood through not clearly or directly stated, an implicit agreement, warning, promise. An implicit agreement, warning, promise. Something about that phrase. Implicit warning, agreement, promise. Yeah, I like that. Implicit power. That's how I would describe this. And then the other thing, shine through the crowded room. Right? That's the energy of this. I feel like that's how you get the implicit power. Both of these kind of have it, but you shine through the crowded room, the male dominated spaces. Right. You see what I'm saying? The play on, what the finish was. Shining through the crowded room, you know, the male dominated space. I like how it's kind of like these male figures like crowding, you know. I think that implies a lot. And then same with this page. If I were to like then find more imagery, and that would take some time, so I'll just show y'all at this point. Just let me work on the thing. I'm just set up stuff for y'all, but I'll show y'all after. All right, I finished. It is now 6:07. I'm gonna have to check what time I started or what time I left y'all, but we are now officially done, and I have for you a fun exploration for the girls, the Tim's campaign pivot, right? Again, where we start, who in the world, it's for women and femmes who put their work first. They get their hands dirty, they lift, they boss, they lead, they show up ready to work. Where they are is a male-dominated space. that's just the world nowadays. It's a very scary place. But they're not taken seriously. They're passed over out of misogyny and assuming that the results would suffer based on their gender or how they express themselves, what they respond to, what would make them feel seen. At the end of the day, I think it's media with a balance. They're very much leveling up their knowledge on business and their craft, and they take it very seriously. And I think that on the other side, they're really resonating with visuals that are a blend of gender expression. And then also like they're just not scared of the either or situation. Where Tim steps in is with this essence of power. They need to remember it's because they want to show up a certain way. Doesn't mean they can't get the work done, doesn't mean they're not already doing the work. And I think other people need to understand that sometimes power isn't something that screams, power isn't something that looks a certain way, power isn't just masculine. Power can be a very be in the woman's world, and sometimes that power is just implicit. Whoa, it's implicit. Adjective. An implied understanding of a woman's power, warning, or promise once the boots go on. This is for the women that get the work done. That's the rapper we've given it. Shout out if you saw. Shout out if you've been here since the beginning, you saw what that was. Now, all that's out so far that I've seen is those two photos, those two like photo carousels, and I'm sure there's more work. I'm sure, like, you know, obviously I didn't look at everything that they did, but those two photos alone. Anyways, so I'm keeping this very photo focused. There's a lot more that goes into campaigns. I'm sure they have more stuff coming out. But regardless, the two main things that I felt like they should hit on is one, implicit power. So I would shoot this setup where they're off work and they're home, but like the power is still there. You know what I mean? The boots are still on. So I kind of see it of like this, and they have their boots up on the coffee table or whatever table's in front of them. They're muddy, and then what would be super sick is if it said, you know, like not written on the bottom of the soles, but like Photoshop and Blender or something. Like it'd be so sick if we could get something like in the sole itself. I don't know what it says. I don't know if it says implicit. I don't know if it says like, you know, the power, your powers imply your power. I don't know, something about power, something about women empowerment. Yes. So also I think they should have just kept their font. Like I think that font totally works and it looks super nice. So if there was any font on the imagery itself or words on the images, then I would keep it within that Timberland world. The other side of the shoot, the other part of the editorial I would do is the one where you shine through the crowded room, the male dominated spaces. So I really love this device of having like a crowded frame or like a closed in frame where just very male figures and masculine figures are like, you know, boxing you in a little bit, but you're still the focus. You still have all the power. I would kind of set it up in like a warehouse kind of thing. I also like the idea of maybe it's this warehouse truck. Shout out to the Women Who Truck. I'm pretty sure there's like a few people on Instagram who have pages that are just women who drive trucks. So that's really sick. Likely I would reach out to them and hopefully have them be part of it. And then also with this one, working in that, like, you know, the ribbons as laces would just be so sick. Like, and it's an option. Like, obviously you're still going to get the real laces, but I think giving the option to add in a free pair of ribbon to swap the laces out would be stunning. Fantastic work. That's basically the two directions I would take for a photo shoot and just get a lot of different content around there. Obviously it wouldn't just be this one photo, but you'd spend time and really build out the world. Again, this was like maybe, I don't know how many minutes it's been since I left you guys, but that's the vibe. Also, they had JT for the campaign, and I think JT is the perfect person for this. JT is like so wonderful, and what really would have been sick is if, you know, she came up with, I want to see the craft, you know what I mean? It would have been sick to visit her world instead of, you know, the vibes that it was on. And if she figured out, you know, I feel like she could have come up with something sicker than like Templicit. Like, I just would have just been like, what can you do with the word? What's coming to mind? You know what I'm saying? Like, get in the studio right quick. Like, Miss JT the queen. You know what I mean? That would have been so sick. If she really turned Templicit into a thing, that would have been cool. So anyways, that's all I got. Thank you for watching. And of course, reminder, this is just my creative expression. And, you know, I felt personally like, you know, there could have been so much more with that campaign. I'm sure they did do a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of thought, a lot of people involved. So, you know, you never know how decisions get made. And so I would never fault the creatives behind it. But I do think, you know, this is just a moment for them to lean in a bit more. Yeah, it's a call in, not a call out. So bye.